This is a story about a cultural treasure, a corporate mystery, and a history that was almost completely erased. Welcome to The Explainer. You know, on the surface, it was a really simple show, just about a boy and a barrel. But somehow, it captured the hearts of an entire continent. El Chavo del Ocho wasn't just another sitcom. For millions, it was a shared memory, a piece of their cultural DNA. And then, something strange started to happen. It wasn't this big, dramatic event. It was slow, quiet. Episode by episode, parts of the show just vanished from the airwaves, leaving these weird gaps in the collective memory of everyone who loved it. So how does a piece of television history this beloved just disappear? That's the question we're digging into today. Okay, so it all kicks off with what sounds like a simple question. How many episodes are there, really? But here's the thing, nobody seems to agree. And we're not talking about fan theories on some forum. No, these are conflicting numbers from major sources, like Wikipedia and even the show's own distributor. This is our first huge clue that the official archive, well, it's not what you'd call reliable. And that right there is the central mystery. I mean, this wasn't some obscure low-budget show. It was an absolute ratings behemoth. So, where did the stories go? To really get why this is such a massive deal, you first have to understand just how big this show was. Right, let's talk about impact. Because to understand why any of this matters, you have to realize that El Chavo wasn't just a TV show. It was a cultural phenomenon. Okay, get ready for this number. 91 million. Even decades after it stopped filming, the show pulled in an average of 91 million viewers every single day. I mean, that's like a Super Bowl level audience, but on a random Tuesday. It's just staggering. And its global legacy is just immense. It got translated into over 50 languages. It earned the network an estimated, get this, $1.7 billion just from syndication fees. It literally became a defining part of childhood for entire generations. So losing parts of this show, it isn't just about losing some old TV episodes. It's more like tearing pages out of a national epic. So when we say an episode is lost, what does that even mean? You might think it's simple, but it's really not. Turns out, the way these episodes vanished is a whole story in itself, and there are different kinds of lost. Yeah, this isn't as simple as, say, a fire destroying all the tapes. Loss is more like a spectrum. You got some episodes that were pretty much intentionally buried by remakes. Others are lost in their original Spanish, but you can still find them dubbed in another language. Then you have some that only exist as little fragments. And a few, well, they're just gone. Globally, completely lost. Let's look at a few concrete cases, because this is where it gets fascinating. Take Don Ramon Photographer from '74. It was replaced by a remake. Everyone thought it was gone for good for 50 years, until someone found it on an old VHS tape in Colombia. Crazy, right? Then you have The Bullfighters. The original Spanish audio is just gone. All that's left is a Portuguese dub. And then there's Ramoncito. No copies, anywhere, in any language. Just poof. So you've got this official archive that's a total mess, and the studio is completely silent on the whole thing. So who steps up to solve the mystery? A very unlikely group of people. And I'm not talking about just casual viewers here. These folks were basically digital detectives. They became historians, archivists, preservationists. It was this decentralized global community of fans who just decided, you know what, if the corporation isn't going to save our history, we'll do it ourselves. And their process is seriously impressive. It's so methodical. First, they scour old TV guides just to prove that an episode even existed in the first place. Then, they hunt for old VHS tapes from international broadcasts from places like Brazil or Peru. They call it the Diaspora Archive. After that, they digitize the footage, restore it as best they can, and share it with the community. They're basically creating a parallel archive that's actually more complete than what the studio has. And this quote from one of the fans who found an episode, it just perfectly captures attention here. They work with this incredible sense of urgency because they know the very company that owns the copyright is probably more likely to send them a takedown notice than to say, hey, thanks for finding a piece of our own lost history. Which of course brings us to the biggest question of all. Why? Why did all these episodes disappear in the first place? And the answer? Well, it isn't some dramatic accident, it's something far more mundane and far more deliberate. For years, the story everyone believed, the popular myth, was that the tapes were destroyed in that huge, devastating 1985 Mexico City earthquake. And look, it's a convenient story, right? An act of God, nobody's fault. But the reality is a corporate strategy. The loss wasn't random at all. It was systematic. The key to this entire mystery comes down to one word: regrabación. It means remake. See, the show's creator would often remake scripts from the 70s in the 80s and 90s. And if you think about it from a business angle, it kind of makes sense. The newer versions had better tape quality, a more current cast. They were just a better product. So when the studio, Televisa, sold the show internationally, which versions do you think they sent? The remakes. The originals? They were just left behind, commercially abandoned in the archive. And this whole strategy kind of reached its peak in just the last few years. In 2020, the show completely vanished from TV screens everywhere because of a rights dispute, a total blackout. Then, when it finally came back in 2024, it was with a new, streamlined, complete, and official collection. And the official number of episodes in that brand new, complete collection? 273. Remember that bar chart from the beginning? The highest count we saw was 312. Now, the fan community has meticulously cataloged at least 39 episodes as being definitively lost. So, what's the difference between 312 and the new official count of 273? It's 39. Think about that. The corporation didn't find the lost episodes. They solved the problem by just erasing them from history, wiping them from the official canon. And that corporate decision leaves us in this really strange, fascinating place where we have to ask ourselves, what does it even mean to own a memory? I mean, this entire story really boils down to one fundamental conflict. Who owns cultural history? Is it the corporation that holds the copyright, the one that sees the show as just property to be managed? Or is it the community, the people who hold the actual memory, who see these episodes as cultural artifacts that have to be preserved no matter what? So, in the end, yeah, the official corporate archive might be smaller and cleaner now. But thanks to that global community of digital detectives, the true story of El Chavo, the messy, complicated, and more complete story, it still survives. It's not locked away in some corporate vault. It's alive, in the static of a shared and now recovered memory.